but he would have especially loved. I mean, that was crazy. It was like a heavyweight bout. I've never seen two teams so equally matched. It was up and down. How do you have the bases loaded and nobody out? That's what everybody's saying over breakfast this morning in Toronto. But in Tokyo, Japan, they were eating dinner at the same time we were eating breakfast. And they were like, "Arigato, Yamamoto." This is the greatest show I've ever played. So cool. It's kind of bumming me out, though, to be honest with you, because I'm never going to be this good again. And that makes me feel sad, but I'm riding the precipice right now. I'm on a beautiful wave, a drive-in 8.6 longboard, and the south swell's coming in from Mexico, and I'm carving that wave up right now. But I'll know I'm never going to be this good again. My skills are going to start diminishing. So please don't ever come see me again. If I see any of you people at a future show, I'll get you thrown out. It's not because I hate you, I'm doing it for your own good. Steve Poltz, sales technique. Well, we first moved to the USA, all the way from Canada. And we drove across the continent from Nova Scotia to Pasadena. My sister and me and my mom and dad, from the cold to the sunny south. There were palm trees growing and it was not snowing, and I never did shut my mouth. Well, we drove on over to the courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. We put our hands on the Bible and we swore as a family that we were not communist. When we drove away, I started to cry. They said, "What's wrong, son? Are you sick?" I said, "I don't want to be an American. I want to be a Catholic." I didn't know what it meant to become an American, but all I knew was I'm a Catholic. I can't be an American. We talk Hollywood and baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Vin Scully, man, it would travel really far. And there's an airy spiderweb shadow coming into right field in Chavez Ravine. Sandy Koufax walks onto the mound and he's up to his hips in alligators. 2-2 to Harvey Keene, get your Dodger dogs. Well, I made my first communion in St. Rita's Catholic Church. There was incense choking and a priest was smoking, was the choir up in the perch. My face got red and my stomach felt bad. They said, "If you're gonna get sick, use a cup." Well, I thought by the time it was my turn for communion, Jesus would be all eaten up. I was last in line. Yeah, he's only so big. We talk Hollywood, baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Ernie Hartwell, it would travel really far. Oh man, I'd go visit my uncle up in Canada. He lived in Windsor, Ontario, and he'd go across the border and he'd take me to Detroit Tigers games. This was the old Tiger Stadium that obstructed these seats. And those were the ones my uncle would buy because they were the cheapest. And I would sit there and be like, "I can't see the shortstop." But he would bring in a transistor radio because he liked the way Ernie Hartwell called the games. That was my favorite part about going with Uncle Wally to see the Tigers play, and he was the biggest Tigers fan. And there'd be a hit and Ernie Hartwell would go. And it's a high fly ball into the right field seats, caught by the man from Walla Walla. does he know where he's from? He goes, he knows everything. Well, my allergies were bad, so we moved to the desert to a city called Palm Springs. We trick-or-treated at Liberace's house. Each finger had a diamond ring. It did too, man. He'd open the door, and when you rang Liberace's doorbell, it would go dum 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 dum. And the steps leading up to his front door were piano keys, but they were all like swirly piano keys. And when he'd open the door, he'd have a ring on every finger, and he'd go, "Hello, kids, have a Snickers bar." His teeth were perfectly white. And the Snickers bar weren't those little ones. No, they were the big ones. So then we go back out after we got that Snickers bar, and we change from Casper the Friendly Ghost into the devil. We go back up and do it again and get another Snickers bar. We were scamming Liberace every Halloween. We met Elvis Presley in the middle of the summer, and Elvis hugged my sister for far too long. I felt kind of weird, but I would have pimped her out just to hear him sing a song. And Elvis Presley was so nice, he put me on his shoulders, took off my little cowboy hat, ran his fingers through my hair, spun me around, gave me his autograph. Then he looked at my sister, she was older than me. She already had boobs and stuff. And he goes, "Your sister's sure is pretty." And then I go, "It's okay, Elvis, you can have her." Man, he started laughing so hard. He thought that was funny. And that was the first time I was like, maybe I got a shot at this. I made Elvis laugh. And then he just took his time, he talked to us. He didn't seem like he was in a hurry. He had a big old limousine waiting for him. It was 120 degrees out. It was August in Palm Springs. He was wearing full-on black leather. I was 9 years old. It was 1969. He just kept talking to us till finally one of his assistants came up and he goes, "Come on, boss, we gotta go." Elvis Presley jumped into the back of that black limousine. He rolled down the window and stuck his head out and kept waving to us until he disappeared like it was a mirage. Well, we rode our bikes home high on the trail of success. Nothing could ruin our happy moods. All we knew was Elvis was our best friend and we were fans for life. When I got home that night, I pulled my trusty guitar out of the case. And that's the night I learned how to play "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" in blue suede shoes. Cause you know what, man? Life is full of memory markers. Certain things that stick out in your head, and this is one I'll never forget. The day I met peaceful Zen Elvis and offered him my sister. Now here I am, a growing up boy, at home on the 4th of July, staring out at the ocean and the fireworks in the sky. I miss my friends who aren't around, the ones who passed away. I'm feeling kind of grateful here in Chesterfield today. We talk Hollywood and baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Jack Buck, man who'll always travel really far. So there I was in St. Louis, gonna be playing a big show here with Jewel. It was the 90s, late 90s, and we get the arch to ourselves because Jewel was on the cover of Time magazine and Rolling Stone that same week. So they said, well, just shut down the arch and let you go up there. And she goes, can I bring Poltz? And they said, yeah. So it was just me and Jewel and her publicist at the top of the St. Louis arch. You could feel that thing move when the wind blew. And they call up, and this is when Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were going after that home run race. And there's a call on the phone, it's Jewel's publicist. And she looks at Jewel and she goes, Jewel, you're not gonna believe this. I got tickets for the game tonight for us. Cardinals are playing the Cubs. And she goes, Mark McGuire wants to meet you. He wants you to come down to the locker room. And she looks at me and she goes, who's Mark McGuire? And this is at the height of it all. Like she didn't care about baseball the way I did. And I looked at her and I said, who's Mark McGuire? He's only good enough to the home run record of 61 home runs set by Roger Maris in 1961 when he beat Babe Ruth's record. And she looks scared, like seriously scared. That's when I knew I better cut up back to decaf. So we go to the game. One thing leads to another. And it's time for Jewel to go down to the locker room to meet Mark McGuire. But she sends me down because she's too scared. She wants me to check out and make sure it's safe. So she sent me down like I was Robert Duvall, like her consigliere in The Godfather 2. And if you want to see the look of disappointment on somebody's face when my shaggy, skinny, hippie ass comes walking in there, Mark McGuire could not hide it. He wanted nothing to do with me. And he just looks at me and he goes, where's Jewel? And I go, dude, I'll tell you what, I'll have her come down. But I want to meet Jack Buck. And he goes, I can make that happen. Because I always liked baseball announcers, as you can tell by the way I did the Vince Scully thing, So I was like, if I can meet Jack Buck. So he leads me out, and I trade Jewel like a baseball card to meet Mark McGuire so I can hang out with Jack Buck on the field. Well, the Cardinals are taking BP, right? So I'm on the field, and Jack Buck gives me one of his poetry books. It was the greatest day of my life. Man. We talk Hollywood and baseball in the car. And the thing I liked about Jack Buck's voice was it sounded like they flew in an auto mechanic from Tupelo, Mississippi on the hottest day. And the auto mechanic had rusty pliers and he reached into Jack Buck's throat with rusty pliers and ripped out his vocal cords. And then they flew in a veterinarian from Havana, Cuba with a rusty razor and needles to sew him back in, but he drops him into a glass of 151 rum, sets the whole thing on fire. So Jack Buck's vocal cords are just like shriveled and destroyed, and they sewed him back in like it was some sort of Frankenstein thing. And I would not normally do this, but it's the last night of my tour. I got 5 days off, because this will blow my voice out. This is what it sounded like that night. I don't believe what I just saw. We talk Hollywood and baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Jack Buck, Lord knows it'll always travel really far. I get allergies and asthma in the yard. No one ever told me growing up would be so hard. I don't believe what I just saw.